The key to attain enlightenment is not to meditate more, not to think less, and not to take drugs. The number one secret to spiritual enlightenment is authenticity. My name is Gabor Duli, and my mission is to help 10,000 people become enlightened, just like I did. I am a nobody because I know I am not my body. By becoming faceless, I want to emphasize that ultimate truth lies behind the form. I don't seek recognition, fame, or power. I just want to be of service to all seekers of truth. In fact, I shed my old personality altogether, and I created a new one consciously, just to be able to play my part in the theater of life. You see, we are both actors, and we both wear masks. The difference is that you take your part too seriously and wear your mask unconsciously. Your mask is invisible even in your own eyes, and you see the whole world through its distorted view. To see your true face again, you have to look into the mirror of authenticity and recognize your own mask. Yes, it will hurt, because you will lose everything that you thought about yourself so far. It will be painful to meet with everything you've been hiding from yourself. It will be blinding to see the truth for the very first time in life. But after all, isn't it what enlightenment is all about? To find the truth? You need to be very honest with yourself, admit all the lies, uncover all the false beliefs, and throw away the mask. Face yourself, face your life, and face your death. It is impossible to find the truth without being truthful. So my first advice to you is this. Instead of seeking enlightenment, seek the truth. But what is enlightenment exactly? The question itself is tricky because I can't give it to your hands, but I can definitely speak about it. I can speak from my own direct experience because I became enlightened years before I started teaching about it. Enlightenment is an instant awakening to truth, a complete realization of yourself. It is discovering that only you exist, remembering your long-forgotten nature, being just a rock-solid, pure presence. The initial enlightenment can be followed by other instances of so-called enlightenment experiences. These epiphanies are not experiences in the true sense of the word, though, simply realizations. However, what's more important is the so-called enlightened state followed by these epiphanies. What is important is not so much the fleeting experience, but the permanent change that it causes. Once you become enlightened, you will remain enlightened. Once a lie is uncovered, you will always know the truth. Once you discover something, you don't need to discover it again. You only need to respect it, remember it, and embody it. Why is enlightenment called enlightenment? In one sense, it means becoming lighter, getting unburdened from the ego. It feels like a huge rock falling off of your shoulders. All the heaviness, seriousness, and graveness of life disappears in a moment. You feel a huge relief, you have a good laugh, and you literally become lighthearted. Historically, enlightenment meant the age of reason. It was an era of truth against ignorance, individual liberty against religious dogma, and scientific revolution against authoritative belief systems. In all of these senses, spiritual enlightenment is very similar. It is a personal revolution against the personality, an individual liberty from the individuality, and a universal quest for the universal truth. In the third sense, spiritual enlightenment means letting the light of consciousness into the darkness of the ego, opening your eyes to truth and awakening from the sleep you call your life. Opening your eyes is a very small gesture on your part, but it changes your world totally. Let me give an analogy so that you can understand it better. Imagine sitting in a huge room full of lights with every other people in the world. You are already living in the light. You are surrounded by it totally. However, you keep your eyes closed, so you see darkness. For you, that is the only reality. You create your own closed private world that nobody can enter. Your mind is full of fiction. Your world is an imagination. But you think it's real because you can't tell the difference until you haven't seen the real reality. Until you know only the darkness, you don't know that it's darkness. You don't know that you don't know because you think you know the light. Only when you open your eyes for the very first time and let the light in, do you realize that you've been living in darkness all the time. Your life before enlightenment seems to be like a fleeting dream that you have just awakened from. Only then do you discover this higher dimension of reality. So what you thought to be real so far will seem like an illusion. Enlightenment creates a very deep connection with other beings. As you realize that you are surrounded by the same light, you are the same light. For the first time, you can see the room full of people with closed eyes. They look like sleepwalkers. They are unconscious of themselves. They are blind to reality. But you can also see some people who already opened their eyes like you, and you can make a deep connection only with them. There is an invisible wall between you and the sleepwalkers, because now you are living in two different worlds. You would like to wake them up too, to liberate them from their unnecessary pain and suffering. After all, how hard is it to open the eyes? In spite of this, only few people reach enlightenment, and for many, it seems impossible. That's because this topic is surrounded by myths, and many times seekers follow the wrong advice. In this report, I'll clear the most common misunderstandings and show you the many traps and obstacles on this path. But for now, let's see why reaching enlightenment is so important for you. The truth is that you were born to be enlightened. You are alive to gain those experiences and to learn those lessons that will ultimately lead you to uncover the biggest secret of life, the truth of who you are, not who you think you are, because that's your ego. And the longer you live based on your false personality, the more suffering you will have in your life. Without enlightenment, life will seem to be a game of life and death, which you cannot win. But with enlightenment, life will be a cheerful play, which you cannot lose. Without enlightenment, life is a meaningless struggle for a meaningless result. But with enlightenment, your life wins meaning and significance. Without enlightenment, life looks like a problem to be solved. But with enlightenment, life becomes a mystery to be enjoyed. All of this is possible for you, but only if you reach spiritual enlightenment. Yes, but how? Don't worry, in this report, I'll also help you with that. In the next chapter, I'll show you the 3 biggest myths that are holding you back from this wonderful experience.